Tensions between Iran and Israel are nothing new. But this time, it's not just about threats and warnings. According to Western media reports, Iran has taken a step that has pushed the world closer to the brink of World War III than ever before. That means when Israel attacks Iran, no one seems to have a problem. Apparently, Iran should just tolerate the strikes, whether it's on Gaza, Lebanon, or Syria. But despite suffering heavy losses, Iran has not backed down. They've launched one retaliatory attack after another on Israel. In this episode of Brain Boost, we'll discuss how exactly Iran carried out these counterattacks. If you're new to Brain Boost, please subscribe and click the bell icon to stay updated. Last Friday at dawn, Israel launched a massive military operation named Operation Rising Lion. Agents of Israel's intelligence agency Mossad directly participated in this attack from within Iran. First, Israeli drones disabled Iran's radar stations, allowing Israeli warplanes to enter Iranian airspace undetected. Then, Israeli jets bombed Iranian nuclear facilities, military bases, air defense stations, and senior military officers with pinpoint precision. One of the key objectives of the operation was to assassinate Iran's Chief of Staff Major General Mohammad Bagheri and the head of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, Hossein Salami. The scale of Israel's attack was so massive that Tehran hadn't witnessed this level of bombardment since the Iran-Iraq War. Over 400 people were killed in the attack, including 14 nuclear scientists and top intelligence officials. In response to Operation Rising Lion, Iran launched a counteroffensive named Operation True Promise 3, claiming the right of self-defense. Under international law, Iran has so far fired more than 350 ballistic and hypersonic missiles at Israel. Many of them have directly hit critical cities like Tel Aviv and Haifa. One missile even landed very close to an Israeli Defense Forces IDF base. Iran's retaliation has damaged multiple cities, ports, residential buildings, marketplaces, and an oil refinery. Reports confirm that 500 people have been injured and 24 Israeli civilians killed. For the first time, many Israeli citizens were forced to spend the night in underground bunkers, despite the Iron Dome air defense system intercepting many missiles. Iran's coordinated missile and drone strikes overwhelmed the system. Iran claimed that they used new strategies that partially disabled Israel's air defense network. Israel was stunned by the scale of Iran's response. Although Iran had retaliated twice before using drones and missiles, this time the attacks reached a whole new level, turning retaliation into full-scale warfare. For over 30 years, Israel has accused Iran of being on the verge of building a nuclear bomb. Back in 2002, Iran secretly began enriching uranium, raising global concerns. In response, Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei issued a fatwa in 2003 against nuclear weapons, declaring that building, storing, and using nukes are forbidden. Under Islamic law, Iran tried to show the world that its nuclear program was for peaceful purposes only. But Western analysts believe Khamenei's statement was nothing more than a political tactic. Thus began a series of sanctions, crippling Iran's economy. To counter this, in 2015, Iran signed a historic deal with 6 world powers, the US, UK, France, Russia, China, and Germany, called the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action JCPOA, commonly known as the Iran nuclear deal. Under this agreement, Iran limited its uranium enrichment and allowed international inspections. In return, sanctions were eased, giving some relief to its economy. However, in 2018, the Trump administration unilaterally withdrew from the deal. Iran resumed its nuclear activities. Recent IAEA investigations show that Iran is enriching uranium at least 3 secret sites. Iran has now reached 60% uranium enrichment capability. To make a nuclear bomb, 90% is needed. But getting from 0% to 60% is the hardest part. From 60% to 90% is much easier. That means Iran may be closer than ever to building an actual nuclear bomb. This is why, for the first time, Israel has directly assassinated Iran's top scientists through airstrikes. Previously, Israel used poison or covert intelligence methods, but now they've resorted to full-on aerial bombardments. Following Iran's counterattack, Western media suddenly seems to be in mourning. Yet, in the past 20 months, over 55,000 people, including 15,000 children, have been killed in Gaza, Still, we saw little to no international outrage. Now, with 24 Israelis killed, leaders from the US, UK, and others are making statements akin to declarations of war. This raises a critical question. To the West, does a human life only matter if it's Israeli? When bombs fall on Gaza refugee camps, it's considered unfortunate. But when missiles strike Tel Aviv, it becomes a threat to global humanity. This war has clearly exposed the biased nature of Western media's so-called neutrality. Research shows that the death of one Israeli gets 33 times more coverage than the death of a Palestinian. Even outlets like the BBC participate in this bias. Their reports rarely show Gaza's suffering, children crying, hospitals destroyed, homes in ruins. Even after 400 Iranians died in Israeli attacks, Western media coverage has been minimal. Iran has repeatedly agreed to limit its nuclear program and even signed the nuclear deal. But after Trump's withdrawal and when talks for a new deal were about to restart, Israel launched this surprise attack. Now they say, we want peace. But how credible is this claim after bombing Gaza, Lebanon, and Syria? Israel says it will not stop until Iran's nuclear threat is eliminated. Iran has declared it will defend itself with equal force. As a result, the world is now standing on the edge of yet another unpredictable war. True peace will only come when the global community collectively works to stop Israeli aggression. Israel as a state was born out of an unjust UN resolution, so the UN will never take real action to stop them. And if you want to be the first to see our upcoming videos, subscribe and click the bell icon.